It'd be nice to do a program on field day and
absolutely.
Closer to field day.
Yeah, I mean, we have some that you have given us. I don't know if it's from Victor or not from Whitey, but we have some here at the studio that I haven't had a chance to review yet. But I was amazed being around, you know, and you think you're in the loop. I went down, and it's the first time I seen Tony erect that tower down there with the antenna.
Oh, yeah.
With the trucks and the
it's
cables.
Process.
You
That's
put,
right.
Yeah, one guy operation and just see, tie the rope to the back.
The whole purpose for field day is really to demonstrate your ability to set up a station that's going to be capable of giving you some reliable communications. And so we...
In a short amount of time.
In a short amount of time, that's right. It's just a weekend operation, and we would... Tony constructed some pretty interesting ways to get the antennas up and up and running.
And that kind of ties back to the emergency preparedness activities, which is what field day gets us ready for. And of course, there's been a lot of courses from the HRT YLRL from the emergency preparedness, emergency communications, and a lot of women are involved in that way. A couple of the women that I mentioned earlier that I worked down in Arkansas, one of them works in emergency preparedness. That's her occupation, that she's doing radio for that, not just amateur radio, but all kinds of radio communication as part of her job with...
I think they just had some sort of a drill down at South Shore Hospital, and I believe that BEMA, Braintree Emergency Management, was down there assisting them. And BEMA has really put together a lot of people that come in to volunteer, men and women, when they come in to volunteer, has actually not pushed them into amateur radio, but said it because of the race.
Well, they've had a very good turnout among women.
They've had, and we know ourselves they have that net on Tuesday nights, and Monday or Tuesday nights, might have both, and they have quite a following, not just from Braintree, you know, from the surrounding town. So once again, I think eventually it will come in more so in around this area. And while we're on that emergency and stuff like that, on the weather, I see National Weather just got honored with the
yes.
Here and down in Taunton. They just received a couple of honors.
The Sky
One.
I think Sky One would be a good program that we could tap into in a future date. I think maybe we could even get Rob to come up here and do a show.
When they had the classes here in Braintree, I think it was a 6-hour class up at the Braintree Town Hall. We actually filmed that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we filmed that for BEMA, and I think from the southeastern area, I'd say there was probably 80 to 100 people that participated and did get the Skywand things. And for our viewers, what happens is, and Skywand is tied in with down the National Weather down in Taunton. They monitor certain repeaters here throughout the New England area, and what they're relying on is the actual
on the ground reports.
The data of what's happening at that particular time in that particular area. And you'll also see the same thing being passed on in your local channels. Your local TV channels are doing the same thing.
Some of the weathermen will actually recognize, and they'll make reference to the fact that it was an amateur radio operator that gave the report.
If you go online to, say, Weather Underground, they have a direct reference back to the National Weather Service with amateur and reports from amateur radio. They don't credit the individual, but they do credit amateur radio for the reports that they have.
And even listening to it, whether you're on the 3.9 machine or the Waltham machine, the 3.9 being the Situate machine, you can see how it varies. The weather.
Oh, it's amazing.
Half-inch hail here,
particularly during
light rain.
During a thunderstorm, you know, you could just pick up a walkie-talkie and just monitor the activities, and then if we should happen to have a heavy burst of hail or something in our area, I would actually make a report. If not, you know, if it's just normal, you know, like heavy rain or something, you don't some of the things you don't bother tying up the network just to make a report like that. But you can hear as the storm goes through the area. You know, it's coming in through. You hear someone with half-inch hail in Holbrook. Next thing you know, some trees are down in Whitman, and then down into Bridgewater. I mean, you can actually see just how fast it's going. And the National Weather Service people will come on frequency, and they will say, well, that cell, there's a very a cell that's exhibiting some potential for a tornado or something that may touch down in such and such an area. It's pretty fascinating to hear
and as a matter of fact,
as it goes.
If CVB, Channel 5, on their weather, now you can go online.
Right, that's true.
And that thing they put together is, they'll give you time, scale, whether it's going to be heavy,
what the course
heavy
is.
wind, and it really will narrow it down where it's going. But there again, the National Weather really likes to get in during the classes when they're teaching this stuff. They want to make sure all the information, you're not just getting on to, hey, this is so-and-so and this is what's happening. They want accurate information.
Right, that's what we receive training as far as just how and what to report.
Exactly.
You know. I wanted to ask you something now. Did you know Rosalie, K1STO, down at the ARL headquarters?
I've met her.
Because she's the one who was instrumental in getting all of the astronauts to become licensed. She was the the person in charge of the whole SAREX program from the league. And she was. We used to have a lot of conversations with her.
I guess what you'd have to say is that there are women involved in all aspects of amateur radio. I'm not a technical type person, but there are many women who are, and they are involved in the technical aspects. I know women who like to climb towers, not me.
Send them to Braintree.
And there are women who like to do CW, women who like to get on a phone. And sadly, there are many women who are afraid to get on the air.
Yeah.
And one reason sometimes is that their first experience is negative. Unfortunately, sometimes the first time a newly licensed woman gets on the air, she's met with less than welcoming words from other operators on the air, and she doesn't get on again. And that's too bad.
That's unfortunate.
Fortunately, it never happened to me, so I...
But, I mean, that also applies to somebody coming in that's new, whether it's a guy or a
into
girl.
anything, you have your good old boy network in any area.
We used to see it right here, right in the general area. I mean,
but I will say that I think that's changing.
I agree with it.
But I think a lot of women do get licensed because of family members, and then only talk to those family members on the radio, and they don't talk to anyone else. Oftentimes, because I think a lot of women come in at the tech level and they don't have a lot of privileges, so 2 meters is about what they can do, and that means they're talking to family members or close friends locally, and they never get to experience the opportunity to talk to people around the world, which really...
They need to see you in action on the air, because boy...
It's I just recently I've been getting on with a group of European YLs on Monday. It's late afternoon for them. It's middle of the morning here, but they're on 20 meters on Monday mornings, and I've been chatting with a couple gals in Germany, one in Scotland, one in England. I can't hear the gal in Canada, needless to say, but I can get the gal down in Virginia. And I have had the privilege of meeting some of these women before. I've met some of the German women. 4 years ago, I went to one of our YL conventions out in Denver. And after the convention, one of the gals up in Montana invited any of us who wanted to come to her home to visit and extend our vacation to go. Well, several of the DX or international YLs accepted the invitation, along with Tony and I and another YL from Pennsylvania and her husband. And we all went up to her house. There were 14 of us, I think, and stayed at her house and her daughter's home or something, and we had a satellite location. She took us to Yellowstone. She toured us all over the place. But what was interesting was spending those 4 or 5 days with German, Italian, Japanese, Swiss,
You never would have met any of those people without the amateur radio tie-in.
New friends for life.
Yeah.
And we just had a marvelous time together. So.
And you get to visit every day with them.